afternoon, guys. I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. I wanted to do a short video for you guys today. I wanted to give you a little bit of advantage from the training session that I had teaching the Wilderness Emergency Medical Services trainers. So I was doing a train-the-trainer session this past couple days in West Virginia for the state of West Virginia. What I wanted to show you was some of the things that they carry in their pack for emergency services or for emergency dealing with a casualty, or if they get stuck out overnight, is 2 space blankets, 2 reusable emergency space blankets, just like we saw on our website at the PathfinderSchoolLLC.com. They carry some type of ground pad. In this case, this one happens to be a Thermarest. The ones they carry are a cheaper model than this. They're just blue. You'll see them in this video when I show you some clips and segments from that training. And they carry a wool casualty blanket. There's our gray, probably 70-30, not 100% wool. And I'm sure that one's not 100% wool either. But I want to show you a very effective way that you can set up a shelter with these items that will protect you from the 3 main things that we have to worry about: conduction, convection, and radiation. Those 3 things have to be manipulated in a survival situation to control your body's core temperature and to make it comfortable for you to sleep, or make it comfortable for a casualty or a patient to sleep while you're doing other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these 2 space blankets to set up what I call a double wedge shelter, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now, so stay with me. What I've done already here is, one of the things that they carry with them is 100 feet of paracord for their cordage. Okay, and we discussed the benefits of bank line over paracord during that class, but they had 100 feet of paracord, so that's what we're going to use for this demonstration. Paracord makes great shelters, it always has. So you've got one ridge line that's stretched between 2 trees right here at the Pathfinder School. This is what we're going to use for the base for our shelter. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to find the middle of our paracord line, or about the middle here. Doesn't matter because we'll be able to adjust it. And what we want to do is we want to tie out 2 of the corners of this space blanket. So we'll just take 2 front corners, and the space blanket is oblong, okay? It's not a square, it is a rectangle. So we're going to lay the rectangle side out this direction. All right, so the rectangle side is straight out from us now. And we're going to tie one of those corners like this with a prusik knot. Now what I'll usually do is, I have a piece of paracord in all 4 corners of this tarp already, this emergency space blanket. I'll pull that out of the hole, take it in my hand and untie it. And what I want to do is, I want to tie a prusik knot on this line so that I can tighten and loosen this thing without tearing up this tarp, because obviously we know that a reusable space blanket is an emergency piece of gear. It's not meant to last forever, and it's not going to. So it's not something we're going to use for shelter every single day of the week. Once I've got that prusik knot on there, which basically is just 3 clove hitches, then I'll go ahead and tie the tag ends back through my tarp grommet, or my space blanket grommet, just like this. And then I'll just tie, you know, a granny knot on there, or some type of a square knot, so that I can get it off there very easily when I need to. And I'll just leave that laying there for the moment, just kind of slack like that. Then I'm going to take my other tarp, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing, except what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to overlap it. So stay with me here, and I'll reposition the camera so you can see exactly what I'm doing with that. Okay, now with this second corner, I've got it laid out the same way. It is a rectangle going straight out. I'm going to overlap on this side and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to tie that same prusik knot, which means I'm going to take that loop, and that would be a clove hitch. If I go twice around again, now I've created a prusik knot, okay? And that's a self-tightening type knot. It's actually meant to be used on ropes that are different diameters for climbing applications, but it will work real good for this, and it will bind against itself pretty decently without ripping out your tarp, and it lets you make fine adjustments if you need to after the fact. And at the same time, if a good heavy wind comes up, it's not going to be so tight that your tarp's going to rip out on you, and that's important too. So I'm going to shove that through this other grommet hole here and do the same thing, and just tie it off with a pretty loose square knot or a granny knot so I can get it out easy enough. And then I can manipulate both of these up and down this line anywhere I need to, okay? And they will stay pretty tight once I pull on them, okay? So that's important to understand. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stake this thing out. I generally will carry 4 or 5 ABS stakes with me, sometimes 6. It makes it very easy to stake things out very quick. I don't have to search for stakes. They don't weigh anything. They're multi-purpose. I can use it for a digging stick. I can use it for a weapon. I can use it for a killing device in a trap. Multi-purpose. That's what it's all about, and they don't weigh anything. So I don't have to expend a resource by dulling my blade or spending calories to go look for things to make stakes out of. If I'm in a 5-minute situation where I got to make a shelter right now, these ABS stakes don't weigh anything and they don't take up much room. So I'm going to pull this straight down from the ridge and just shove it in temporarily. Actually, I think I'm going to pull the other side out first because that's where my overlap is. So I'll stake this side down to the ground first, and if I want to shrink my loop up a little bit, I can do that so that I get this closer to the ground. It's not a big deal. Just tie a quickie half inch in there, pull it straight out, stake it straight down. Then I'll pull my other side over the top of it to make sure I have that overlap and do the same thing. Just like this. Once I've accomplished that, now I can go to my other corners. I can come over here, pull this one out, and stake it down. And come to the other side and stake it down. Just like this. Again, if I want to shorten that loop up a little bit, I'll just tie another knot in it. It's not a big deal. And shove that in temporarily as well. Okay, so once I've got that short up in the back and I've got it staked down, I want to pull these tight to make sure I got my overlap. You can see I've got them crossed a little bit. Then I'm just going to come down here and stake this out. And I'm going to come right down here and stake this out straight in front of me. And again, if my loop's a little bit too big, it's not a big deal just to pull another knot in there. And again, I'm shoving this in there kind of temporary right now because I want to see what it's going to look like when I'm done. And then I can move my stakes around if I need to. Okay, so at this point what we've got is we've got a double wedge. Side by side, we have a very low peak, and that's important because our pitch controls how much heat stays in the tent and how much comes out, okay? Or the emergency shelter in this case. If we have a high peak, heat's going to rise, so heat's going to go out. If we keep our peak low or our pitch low, and we put a fire break out here, just like a log or something like that, in front, when we build our fire, that convection we take advantage of will heat us all night long. Now all we need to do is take our foam pad and throw it on the inside to battle any convection problems. We have the whole back of that shelter back there to store our equipment, or, you know, in this case, you might have 2 people in here if you had a casualty, okay? You can put your wool blanket on top of this, wrap up in it correctly, and there are right and wrong ways to use a wool blanket. Folding it in half like this is the wrong way, okay? I'll do a video later on down the line on the right way to use a wool blanket. But this gives you an idea of what you can do, and then you've got you maintain that low pitch. You've got your fire right out here in front of your shelter. You've got the reflective side of this tarp right by your head, and you're going to get that convection and that shortwave radiation all night long. Now, I will put a video tag at the end of this video showing you some of the footage that I took at the West Virginia exercise for the Wilderness EMS personnel. And we had shelters set up like this. It was 33 degrees, and the inside temperature of these shelters ranged anywhere from 71 to 84, depending on the height of the fire. So you can control what temperature the shelter is by how high that fire is. You don't have to maintain a large fire. It just needs to be a lengthwise fire. As long as the shelter is open, that's how long you need your fire, and just low bits of fire along a back break like a log or something like that will throw that convective heat and that shortwave radiant heat into the shelter all night long and keep you warm and cozy.
The outside temperature is about 44 degrees. We set up this double wedge earlier this evening. We've got a small fire built in front of it with just a little bit of a reflector. And we've been able to raise it up to about 74, almost 75, depending on the height of the fire at the time. Right now we're reading 73.3. So we're seeing about a 30-degree difference here, and it's not burning through a lot of firewood at all.
Well, I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School, and I hope you've enjoyed this short video on how to make a back-to-back wedge using the reusable emergency space blanket, and how to make a quick 5-minute shelter. This thing goes up in no time at all, and it will give you the life-saving heat that you need on a cold night with very little material used to save your life and affect your survivability. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School, and I'll be back as soon as I can.